Agribusiness is never short of statistics. In fact, I suspect few, if any, areas of commercial enterprise are as well serviced with information as Australia's farmers and graziers. Here's a sample of information that's arrived on my desk in the past few days. Beef exports to Japan are down 3% so far this year. Beef exports to America are down 25% in the same period. But on the plus side, beef exports to Russia have surged above 38,000 tonnes. And exports to the Middle East, around just 4,000 tonnes 3 years ago, have already passed 19,000 tonnes so far this year. Meanwhile, sheep numbers in Australia continue to slide. At the end of June this year, our sheep population was down to 67.7 million, the lowest since 1905. Our dairy herd has fallen to 2.5 million, and beef cattle numbers are down to 24.3 million, both numbers down 4 to 5%. And sugar. For years the industry was on the skids. Now cane growers are virtually growing money. But there's been so much rain, the national sugar harvest this year could be less than 4 million tonnes, the smallest crop in 20 years. Let's start the price check with sugar, and what is a reality check for cane growers. Prices reversed in devastating fashion last week after India revealed it would have at least 3.5 million tonnes available for export. Contacts crashed as much as 10%. March of 2011 delivery went below 30 cents. Further out contracts, for example October of next year, are below 20 cents a pound. In contrast, cotton remains king of these soft commodities. Almost every week analysts warn cotton has peaked, and every week it's been going up, and it's faded this week only after hitting a 30-year high. There were record volumes traded in New York. Prices were choppy, but the nearby December contract closed up just over 1 cent for the week. Let's move to Chicago now for the hard stuff. And wheat drifted lower on the back of crop estimates, and corn fell after plantings were revised up by about 5 million acres. Price-wise, soybeans continue to star. Farmers are chasing cotton money for next year, so planting estimates for soybeans next year are down. That price just goes up and up week after week, and China continues to buy and buy. And back home, the futures markets have reacted to a flood of reports about quality downgrades, and stories abound of wheat and barley being turned away from depots because it fails to meet any specs. That is, it's shot and even useless as feed. In the West, the rise was $7, and milling wheat in New South Wales lifted $10. Moving to livestock now, and despite more storms, cattle supply in the East lifted 21% last week, and surprisingly, prices held up fairly well. Numbers at the big Roma sale were actually up 66%, with the focus remaining on younger cattle. It's amazing how a lot of grass will open wallets. The cow market is doing it tough. Our exports to America are really struggling. Other categories have been reasonably firm. And this action left the Eastern Young Cattle Indicator at $3.68 a kilo, up 4 cents for the week. Now, the lamb market is surging again. Numbers were up last week. Demand was strong and prices lifted accordingly. The spike in wool prices would have also attracted attention, especially coupled with a distinct lack of wool in storage. So the indicator category for lambs lifted 6 cents and mutton went up 16 cents. Finally to wool, where the question is being asked, is wool emerging as the latest hot commodity? Now, there are several factors to consider here. There's a universal agreement about a shortage of supply. As mentioned earlier, our sheep flock is at a 100-year low. Pipelines are said to be all but empty, and demand is strong. Now, last week, pass-in rates were low in a market dominated by China. Rises were across the microns. Demand for skirtings was especially strong, skirtings being wool from the edge of the fleece. So the AWEX Eastern Market Indicator lifted more than 4% for the week to smash past the 1,000-cent market. It's moved up 18% in Aussie currency terms since the end of August. And that's the Landline check on prices.